and a lot better at home than they've been playing on the road. And here come the Cleveland Indians to end this little homestand here before the Birds take off for Tampa this weekend. And not a minute too soon, Ubaldo Jimenez comes back on Sunday, throws 7 solid innings. We'll be talking about that and probably until he takes the ball on Friday. Joe Giglio, longtime friend of ours and one-time WNST contributor, now up in the swamps of Jersey, doing all things sports at NJ.com for NewJersey.com, as well as at Sports Radio IP and The Fan in New York. And you can find him at Joe Giglio Sports. That's Giglio. And happy post-Father's Day to you there, young father Joe Giglio. My son's 32, so I don't know that I count Father's Day anymore. We're just counting down the days to pennant race baseball around here. And I don't know that the Orioles are going to get into the pennant race here at any point, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, look, they started off so well, Nestor, and they had a nice little lead and right neck and neck with the Yankees to start the year. But it's just amazing how the pitching has just fallen off so fast. I mean, I think everyone realized their pitching staff was nothing special coming into the year, but they were doing their Orioles thing, and they were sustaining and winning and getting through it all. And yet the last, 4 or 5 weeks, it has just been, it's been a disaster. But I guess the silver lining for them is everyone basically is still alive in the American League playoff race. It's hard not to be, even if you're at 500.
Well, you said that it would have been shaky to begin with, and I think we looked at this all off season, and I talked about it all winter long, saying who is going to pitch? Who is going to pitch? And I think we all thought, well, at least the bullpen will be okay, right? I mean, and that's kind of how the Indians and the Cubs and the Royals and even the Orioles have been competitive the last couple of years as a great bullpen. And then you start to see that get chipped away with the injury to Britton, the injury to O'Day, unsettling everyone in the bullpen. Some guys not as effective as they've been in the past, and some guys like Givens and Brock in various roles, in different roles. And it really puts even more pressure on the starting pitching, which has been really, really lousy, specifically on the road, and there is no help for the starting rotation. As I've said, there's no cavalry coming over the hill here unless it's Ubaldo Jimenez or Alec Asher or somehow Tillman and Gausman getting themselves righted, and it feels to me like they're going to give him the ball every 5th day. So, until a shoulder falls off or there's a real injury, these guys are going to be the rotation for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, they are. When it comes to Tillman and when it comes, and Gausman specifically, Gausman's the one that has been, it's got to be for them just puzzling and disappointing. Like, Tillman had the injury before the season, so maybe that's still slowing him up. But Gausman threw the ball well in spring training. I think everyone looked at him like, all right, he's going to take that next step this year. He was pretty good in the second half. And he's just been, bad. I mean, it feels like every time he goes out there, there are 4 or 5 runs on the board at least, if not worse, in some of his even worse starts. He's been the guy that, if he was who they thought he'd be and who a lot of people thought he'd be coming up before the season, they'd be in a different spot right now.
Well, Joe, you're up there in the swamps of Jersey. You're close enough to New York to know the energy around the Yankees team. It was all good until the last week, right? I mean, you talk about a team that looked like they were trending toward really playing 600 ball all season long, and then they go a week without winning, and especially in sort of a weird place with Oakland and whatnot. A little bit shocking, but, I guess they're going to hit the speed bump. Now the Yankees have finally found their speed bump here as the weather has changed, and it's gotten a little warmer this summer.
Yeah, they have, and, I'm not that surprised this happened because I didn't think they were going to play this well the whole season. They're good, and they'll be in this race the whole year. But they've had so many guys in their lineup just have amazing first halves that you figure, if this could cool off and you could have a week like this. And the pitching staff, they've gotten by this far and have led the American League all year, despite the fact that Masahiro Tanaka has just been bad. The guy for 3 years since coming over from Japan has been good. Basically every 5th day, had an elbow injury his first year, but other than that, he's been really good. He's consistently good. And this year, he just can't figure it out. Every start he goes out there, it's somewhere between 4 and 7 runs. And it's just, I don't think they have any idea. It's almost like what you were saying with the Orioles. Unless he goes to them and says, I'm hurt, they're going to keep running him out there every 5th day and hope he figures it out.
Well, in the case of the Yankees, they got other guys that can figure it out at this point, and I know the whole offseason we spent talking about Sanchez, and then here comes Aaron Judge. Look, I don't know that we're going to put him in the Hall of Fame, that he's the next Mickey Mantle and is going to do this for the next 10 years, and certainly at an advanced age, and he's got such a big frame to begin with, but I wish he were playing for the Orioles. I would be excited about him if I were a Yankees fan.
You have to be. I mean, the talent there is off the charts, and the fact that it's come this quickly, and the fact that the adjustments he made in just a year. I mean, that's the thing that has just changed his whole career and his trajectory. I mean, no one saw this coming to be this kind of player at this quickly in his big league career, but he's fun to watch.
I'll tell you what, when Sanchez got hurt, it was early in the season. They were playing the Orioles, and we thought, well, we don't know how that's going to turn out, and this could really, wreck his season. Well, he quietly went away for a month. He's quietly come back and hitting 300 again and hitting, 10 home runs every 150 at-bats. He's on pace to hit 30 this summer. I mean, it is kind of crazy what that kid has done, despite having, a really challenging start to the season for him, watching the team play.
Yep. He's the guy that when that injury happened, and it happened, like you said, in Baltimore, that there was, and the Yankees started off that first week. They had a bad first week. It's almost like the week they just had. I mean, they were like 1-5 when they left Baltimore, whatever it was. But there was like, oh no, here we go. Sanchez is hurt. They're 1-5, and they went on a tear without him. He's come back, and like you said, he's just a special player. And they have two of them in that lineup with Sanchez and Judge to build around for the next, however many years.
For the Yankees coming up on the trading deadline at the end of July, they have more money, more powder in the keg, more prospects to offer. I think there's going to be some pressure. And I know people say, well, the Astros are running away. Yeah, the Astros are running away until October. Then they better win game one like everyone else. I always said that about the Capitals during the regular season. It's nice to have that run in you. But for the Yankees to fortify, to your point, I don't know that Tanaka's going to come around, and he was always a guy I feared after the Yankees signed him and brought him over. I mean, he looked otherworldly 3-4 years ago. Doesn't look that way now. I know the market's going to be more fourth starter, fifth starter kind of thing for other teams out there, but I have a feeling the Yankees are going to bolster, and I have a feeling the Yankees are going to see this as an opportunity for them to get back to a World Series, and I think they're as positioned as any team in the American League, and I think this is going to be a real tribute to Cashman to see what he can build here over the 4 weeks leading up to the trading deadline to make them the best team, because these seasons don't come and go. Even if you're a Yankees fan, I don't think you let a season like this get by and say, well, we're building for the future just because you felt that way in the offseason. I feel like the Yankees are going to go for it.
I do too. I mean, they're there. That's the thing. If they were 4 or 5 games out, if they were right in the middle of this pack, then I think the other side makes sense. Like, they're going to build for the future. They're not going to give up the assets for now, but they're in front. They're right there, and they can look at the Astros and say, if we get this arm or we get that arm, we can match up. We could play this team and play with them in October, and they're probably going to need it too. As you watch this play out, I don't know if they stay totally status quo if they're going to win this division. I think the Red Sox could catch and pass them. I mean, they're basically right there anyway with them now. So there's that part of it too. If they want to at least get to the postseason and have that chance, they're probably going to need to do something. And then on top of it, you get there and you have the right pieces. Well, why not? You're in, and you're back in the postseason.
Well, in the case of the Red Sox, we spent the whole offseason, fanning them and talking about how wonderful their offseason was and how they loaded up and how they're the most talented team in the American League. And, they're sort of playing the tortoise and the hare thing here. I mean, they're going to play better baseball this summer than I think they played this spring. I think they're getting healthier as well. And, for the Red Sox and the Yankees, it starts to feel like it did a decade ago where it's the two of them and these other 3 teams in the American League East. I can't imagine that they're going to have what's necessary, certainly not at the trading deadline, to improve the teams enough to catch the Red Sox and the Yankees. I think they're both going to pull away, and we're going to watch sort of the old school Yankees-Red Sox thing that we sat around here for 15 years and hated so much.
It feels like it, and it feels like that could continue. I mean, the Orioles still have Manny Machado, and if you were ranking the best players in this division, I mean, he'd be right there near the top. But other than that, the other 3 teams, I mean, Donaldson as well in Toronto, but I think if you were making a list and power ranking the best players, a lot of the best ones and the young ones would be on the Yankees and the Red Sox. It feels like this thing's just moving that way, Nestor, for the next couple of years, where it's probably Yankees, Red Sox battling it out at the top of this division.
He is Joe Giglio. He does all things sports up in the great state of New Jersey for NJ.com, covering baseball and, of course, doing sports radio in Philly as well as New York. You can follow him out on Twitter at Joe Giglio Sports. That's Giglio. All right, so for the rest of this league and for the other teams that are out there, boy, the National League West, we don't stay up late watching this. Colorado had another walk-off on Sunday. Everybody out there feels like they only lose once a week, all of those teams. What has happened to the balance in the National League and the National League West? Certainly Colorado and Arizona have been dormant for a decade, and this summer, much like the Houston Astros, they've really emerged.
They've been unbelievable, and they won yesterday in the walk-off hit. I mean, all three of those teams have at least 44 wins. Nobody outside of the Nationals in that whole National League has even 40. I mean, if those three are just running away from everybody and hiding, I think a couple things happened. The Dodgers we knew would be good. They're always good. They've been that way for a few years. I thought Arizona and Colorado would be better, maybe 500-ish, a little above, fight for the playoffs. I think they've taken advantage of the fact the Padres are awful, and the Giants, who no one expects to be awful, is awful. So that division is classic top-heavy. You have three really good teams, two awful teams, and they're getting beat up on, and it's creating this, just like you said, imbalance. And what it's done is I think it's going to ruin the wild card race in the NL, that there is no wild card race. All three of those teams are going to the playoffs out of the West.
Well, the other part, I was in Philly seeing U2 on Sunday and seeing how bad the Phillies are there, and then realizing the Mets, the Marlins, Atlanta. There's a lot of teams, more so than in recent memory, and part of this was, as you know, bringing in that second wild card to make sure that everybody had a gander at this thing. There's going to be a lot of teams putting the for sale sign up in the next 6 weeks in the window, and a lot of teams getting picked through by the better teams. And I think, you know, that this is a chance for the bad teams to maybe poach some talent the way the Yankees did last summer to get themselves better. I don't know what's going to make teams like Atlanta and Philadelphia and San Francisco better. I mean, it's going to have to come from within. It's going to have to come from their farm system. But this is a chance for them to load up, because the notion that everybody's going to go for that second wild card, I don't even know that the Orioles are in the business of going for the second wild card this summer, or they should be in the business of going for the second wild card this summer, because a lot of these teams feel to me like they can't win.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing with these GMs. They have to figure out who they are, what they have, and if they really have a chance. I'm trying to remember back now. I think the Yankees were within about 5.5, 6 last summer when they sold them, and they were close enough that there were some people that you shouldn't do this. I mean, they're still in it. They still have a lot of good players. Brian Cashman said, no, we're not good enough, and obviously he made the right decision. There's a ton of those teams, especially like you mentioned, the Orioles in the American League this year. I think everyone, Nestor, is within 4.5 as of this moment of a playoff spot. So like everyone can wake up today and say, we're in this thing, but not everyone really is in this thing, and we're going to find out which GMs, have the guts to make the move and sell off if that's the right thing to do.
There's been no one I've talked to in the last 6 weeks that doesn't believe the Cubs are going to have some awakening and give a little run here. Milwaukee has made the thing interesting going up on the All-Star break, but I don't know if the Cubs could be any worse. And when you talk about pitchers, and look, the Yankees are trying to figure out Tanaka, the Orioles are trying to figure out Gausman and Tillman. Everybody out there has someone that they're waiting for a wake-up call on. I mean, we've seen Cleveland come around waiting for their pitching to wake up as well. But boy, the Cubs, everyone willed them to 110 wins, and this is going to be easy, and look at how easy they made it look last summer. You find out pretty quickly last year was a long time ago.
It was. And look, I think we're well past the early part of the season where it's like, oh, well, they'll be fine. It's April. Don't pay attention. We're in mid-June now. They've struggled. They have pitching issues. Hendricks going to be on the DL probably until around the All-Star break. They need something to supplement that team. And I think we did get carried away because of what happened last year. We just assumed it would continue to roll here. They still have a lot of young guys who, outside of Bryant, not all of them are all developed yet. Like, they still have development to go, ups and downs in the big leagues. It's surprising considering what we thought, but then you watch it play out every day and you look at that team, you're like, all right, this makes sense. They're not that special this year compared to what they were last year.
Orioles seeing the Tribe here this week. They have caught fire all of a sudden and starting to play to their potential. I mean, the Indians and the Cubs for the last 8 weeks, we've been talking about both of those teams trying to find an awakening. And certainly in divisions that are very, very winnable, both of these Centrals. Minnesota has been feisty, but boy, Cleveland put a beat down on them over the weekend.
They did. And, the Cleveland team they're the sleeping giant, I think, still in the American League. Like, if I'm the Astros or I'm the Yankees or I'm the Red Sox, that's the team I don't want to see if they get themselves figured out. It's similar to the Cubs because of what they did last year and what we know they could be. And I have to imagine the Indians will figure this out and get to the top of this division and stay there because that AL Central is it's not impressive. And the Twins have somehow done it all year, but you got to believe the Indians are going to figure it out.
Yeah, the Nationals are boring, right? Like, there's nothing to talk about there. We won't talk about them all summer.
There's not much. I mean, the only thing is they need an arm in their bullpen. If they get it, they're going to have a good chance in October finally to maybe win a series. If they don't, it's going to be the same old story where they have a tremendous team and they get knocked out early.
It's funny, in these off seasons, we've seen bullpens become the rage over the last 5 years in baseball, and it feels like the cheapest way to get innings and, all the sabermetricians and all that stuff getting involved. And boy, the Nationals have just eschewed that, right? I mean, from Papelbon straight through, they have just kind of ignored it, and now they have a crisis situation where they have a really, really good team, and they have like 5 weeks to offer up their minor league organization to get help somehow, some way.
Yeah, what you said a few minutes ago, but all these losing teams that they should maybe take advantage of these teams that are winning and want to win a World Series. The Nationals are the one that stand out to me. Like, if you're a team with a couple of good arms in your bullpen, that's the team you call and try to take advantage, try to rip them of whatever they have in their farm system. So they have to be desperate. I mean, they have to be desperate now because this team is good, but they have to feel like if they had a closer and maybe a setup guy to go with them, they could win the whole thing. And they tried to get Kenley Jansen, the Dodgers closer in the offseason. He went back to L.A., and then they kind of just shrugged their shoulders and said, all right, we'll go with the young guys. And look, I mean, they're going to win that division, the NL East, by 10.5 games, but it doesn't matter because, when they get to October, if that closer blows game 2 and they lose a chance to go and tie a series or go down 0-2, no one's going to care they won 95 games and won the division by 15.
We are talking baseball with Joe Giglio. Always great to catch up with you. Happy post-Father's Day to you. I know you had a big family weekend. I know you're watching baseball up and down the corridor up there. We got you two running around this week and next week on the East Coast, so hopefully our paths will cross at some point, Joe. It's always a pleasure to check in with you. We're going to send everybody out to Joe Giglio Sports to follow you out on Twitter, man.
Appreciate it, Nestor. Anytime.
You got it. Joe Giglio from NJ.com, as well as doing some sports radio up in the corridor between Philadelphia and New York, and a little Baltimore connection as well, as Joe spent some time with us at WNST.net. It's spelled Giglio. He is Joe Giglio Sports on Twitter. You can find me out in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you happen to be. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. That's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. And, of course, if there's breaking news and the Orioles always promise some pitching up and back and forth to Norfolk, you'll get that first on the WNST text service. That is all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. And, of course, if you are an Orioles fan and a reader and you want a little history and a little flavor for the Baltimore Orioles, the Peter Principles are being released on a weekly basis, chapter by chapter. Released chapter 6 this week. You can check that out up at WNST.net or anywhere our social media flies. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.